a boy tasted caviar that fell on the ground. He found this million-dollar delicacy tasted fishier and worse than shit. From that moment, he learned a truth about adult society. Even the priciest food is just another symbol of wealth and status. Years later, the boy became a world-famous top chef through his talents. With his superb cooking skills, he manipulated wealthy elites at will. And this was only the first step of his revenge against the rich. To cultivate someone who could inherit his legacy, he sent his assistant to scout for suitable candidates. A talented girl from a poor background caught the assistant's eye. Every customer who ate her stir-fried noodles praised them endlessly. The assistant just picked up a bit and smelled it. He was captivated by this refreshing deliciousness. He immediately handed the girl a business card, saying she shouldn't waste her talent here. However, the girl just glanced at it silently, then reluctantly tucked it into her pocket. That evening, Aoi searched online for the restaurant on the card. She was shocked to find the restaurant's head chef was legendary Chef Paul. Not only did top celebrities fight to take photos with him, even ordinary people had to book 2 years ahead to eat his food. And he was that boy who stole the caviar years ago. The next day, Aoi came to her stall as usual to cook noodles, but saw the assistant waiting in a Ferrari for her to get in. Having been poor all her life, she decided to give it a try. Aoi was like a child who'd never seen the world, stunned by the upscale decor. The assistant brought her to a premium kitchen. All the stoves here used hydrogen fuel. They even prepared over 10 knives of different sizes. The blade surfaces were so clean they could be used as mirrors, just as she was immersed in it all.
วางลงเดี๋ยวนี้
ขอโทษค่ะ
มึงพามาสอบอ่ะ
ครับนะ
Hearing she had to compete in cooking before working, the unconfident Aoi wanted to turn back and leave, but as she was about to exit, legendary chef Paul blocked her way. Seeing her idol right in front of her, Aoi immediately decided to stay, and the interview task was simple. That was fried rice. The competitor immediately laughed upon hearing this. This dish was a piece of cake for him. He confidently scooped out a portion of steaming hot rice, while Aoi took a box of overnight cold rice from the fridge, then grabbed 2 eggs. Once peanut oil coated the entire wok, she cracked the eggs in and stir-fried. At 80% done, she poured in the overnight rice and mixed. Meanwhile, the competitor on the other side was notably more elegant. He melted butter at the bottom of the pan. When the eggs were 20% cooked, he added Argentine prawns for freshness, then added peas and carrots, then put the freshly cooked rice in and stir-fried. One used low heat and slow cooking, the other high heat and quick frying. Soon 2 completely different fried rice dishes were served. One looked colorful and appetizing, the other dry but with distinct grains. This seemed like a competition with no suspense. However, Paul just lightly scooped a spoonful of the plain fried rice, then smelled it in front of his nose, and immediately announced the result on the spot. The competitor looked disdainful. He didn't understand where he lost. But how could the legendary chef who'd long held first place waste words with a junior cook? He raised his hand and slapped him, then said the secret to making fried rice delicious was that leftover rice from last night. Though Aoi won the competition, but her smell of cooking oil from stir-frying noodles felt out of place here. After cleaning up, Aoi looked at herself in the mirror. She thought she was about to reach the peak of culinary arts, but twisted and demanding Paul would soon bring her back to reality. 5A, grade Wagyu must be cut into 2mm thin slices. This troubled Aoi, who was handling premium ingredients for the first time. From knife grip to cutting method, Paul criticized everything. Too much heat would also affect the taste of ingredients. The cooking methods Aoi once took pride in became fatal flaws in Paul's eyes. Failing to meet this restaurant's standards meant packing up and leaving. The long frustrated Aoi wanted to give up, but thinking of the stain-filled street stall, she still decided to take the chance. The after-hours kitchen became her personal training ground. Fortunately, hard work pays off. She earned everyone's appreciation on her first appearance. Then assistants arranged the plates neatly. A small spoonful of blood sauce plus a small roll of cooked beef was the dinner for these high officials and nobles. Big plates, small food, plus a small herb as garnish. Seemingly simple ingredients became expensive delicacies due to Paul's reputation. The nobles swallowed the beef bite by bite, not even sparing the blood on the plates. Watching nobles swallow bloody delicacies, Paul, who came from the bottom, knew clearly his goal of revenge against the rich was achieved. And as the banquet was ending, a man calling himself a food critic handed Aoi a brand new business card. He too had taken an interest in this unique girl. However, good times didn't last. This day, an ordinary family had waited 3 years to finally book this restaurant. But as Paul was checking the dishes, he just took a small spoonful and immediately dumped the entire pot of French soup, then filled it with tap water from the faucet. Without adding any ingredients, he just took 2 instant noodle seasoning packets and sprinkled them in. And this family of 3 from humble origins didn't notice anything odd due to Paul's reputation. They slurped up this hard-won delicacy with big gulps. Back in the kitchen, Paul flew into a rage. Turns out the little girl was allergic to seafood, but the sous chef carelessly added a large prawn to the soup. Furious to the extreme, Paul pinned the sous chef in the corner and berated him. He wouldn't allow anyone to try to destroy his reputation, but the humiliated sous chef picked up a knife and stabbed it toward Paul's abdomen. Not only did he nearly lose his reputation, he was also stabbed by his own subordinate. This left Paul restless. He even called the hospital's nutritional meals pig food. Fortunately, Aoi brought a portion of stir-fried noodles. She told Paul this was food cooked with love, also her family's unique secret recipe passed down. But Paul knew what seasonings were in the noodles after just one bite. To him, with both fame and fortune, food made with love simply didn't exist. Taught another lesson, Aoi walked down the street. She became confused about her dream of becoming a famous chef. However, As soon as she got home, she learned her father had collapsed from exhaustion, finally secured a hospital bed. But the expensive medical fees made her spend all her savings. Just then, the TV suddenly broadcast a news story. A little girl with a terminal illness couldn't afford medical fees, so her parents borrowed from loan sharks to order her dream high-end dinner. Then the family of 3 ended their lives satisfied. Seeing this, Aoi's eyes widened. She clearly knew this was the family she served a few days ago. The consecutive blows made her realize how terrifying the wealth gap in this world truly was. On the other side, Paul's madness didn't stop there. To satisfy the needs of the wealthy, he actually led his team to cook wild animals. This made Aoi feel she was betraying her original intentions. She just wanted to become a famous chef, not a criminal. Due to disagreement, she immediately proposed her resignation. But Paul seemed used to it and let her leave. Didn't even bother to glance at Aoi. Back home, Aoi pondered for a long time. She dug out the business card that food critic gave her. The next day, she went alone to meet him.
คุณยังเด็กหน้าตาคุณดีฝีมือการทำอาหารคุณโดดเด่นผมทำให้คุณเป็นเชฟสาวสวยที่เก่งที่สุดของโลกได้นะ
These words struck Aoi's heart directly. They quickly established a new restaurant and built a new team with Aoi as head chef. The restaurant was named Flame. She would use her best skill, stir-frying, to create her own menu. At first, Aoi wanted to get along peacefully with other team members, but she soon discovered, to achieve lasting fame, there was no democracy in the kitchen, only dictatorship. She used Paul's management style to make subordinates obediently compliant. Through the food critic's generous promotion, Aoi soon became the most sought-after female chef locally. To gain more opportunities to shine, the food critic secured her a noble ladies' banquet. And this lady was not only wealthy but also a direct descendant of local royalty. But what surprised Aoi was the lady didn't only invite her. On the opposite side of her work area was Paul's team. She realized this was actually a bloody war behind the scenes. Aoi used her original menu to create stunning dishes. While the nobles were tasting the delicacies, the lights in the venue suddenly dimmed. Then an entire premium whole cow was slowly lowered from above. Paul walked forward holding a cleaver. Using his knife skills honed over decades, he chopped on the cow, then spread seasonings evenly to various parts, then grabbed a handful of barbecue seasoning, and wildly sprinkled it all over the cow's body. As the fire basin on the ground was lit, the entire cow instantly burst into roaring flames. This was his biggest signature dish this time. The noble lady walked forward elegantly, and Paul gently carved a slice of beef with his knife to confirm uniform thickness, then put the meat into the lady's mouth like feeding livestock. The lady immediately showed a surprised expression. Other wealthy people went crazy, instantly surrounding the table, then feasted heartily on the beef on the table. Seeing Paul's fierce eyes, Aoi calmly picked up the wok. Using the cheapest ingredients, she stir-fried noodles named Love for everyone. Perhaps meals that bring a family together were true delicacies to Aoi. Laughably, the nobles all grew up eating delicacies and had never tried such food. They just gave simple high praise because of Aoi's reputation. While Paul opposite showed disdain, he picked up a kettle and poured instant noodle soup into each plate. He just wanted to tell Aoi one truth. Well-dressed people don't understand food. In their eyes, only money and status existed.
บทเรียนสุดท้ายที่ผมจะมอบให้กับคุณไม่ว่าคุณจะทำอาหารอร่อยแค่ไหนสวยยังไงสร้างสรรค์แค่ไหนคุณก็ไม่สามารถเอาชนะอุปทานได้แล้วมันก็ให้คุณชนะตั้งแต่แรกอยู่แล้วเพราะพวกมันหิวกู
As soon as he finished speaking, several police officers came to the venue. They were arresting Paul on suspicion of torturing and killing wild animals. Then everyone's phones received videos of Paul cooking wild animals. Paul turned to look, only to realize his assistant and the food critic had set him up. Watching Paul's departing figure, Aoi cried unwillingly. The victory she wanted was never like this. At this moment, she finally realized. She had long become a puppet of capital. The rich live to eat, while the poor eat to live. This huge contrast left her disheartened. She returned once again to her small stir-fried noodle shop and made a vow to create here a menu that truly belonged to herself.